There you are. Good to
Here I
go.
am. Here I am, and I want to remove that. All right. So I'm going to clean up a couple of things on my end that we won't need, and allegedly that I should have had done before. Okay. Welcome to State of the Program version 4. And it's an interesting title. I picked it quite intentionally. 6 ways from Sunday. And that's the idea. I set on a path about 3 weeks ago. First of all, I had an approach I was using that was very powerful, and I felt I could get to the window with it. Then I added a second one. I was looking for more profitability. And I mentioned to someone a couple of weeks back that I had added a third one, and I somewhat arrogantly said, it doesn't matter what you do, they all work. And within reason, that has been true. I was struggling to get higher dollar nets, remembering that I'm playing every single race. And so what I decided to do was to keep going on that path until I could develop some very generic approaches using the AI that if you want to add other stuff to it, that's great. But that's what tonight is about. So the trade-off has been working on this stuff as opposed to coding. And many of the things I had hoped you would have by Christmas are going to be replaced by, wait for it, winning systems. Now, I want to give special kudos to Brian because he and I have spent a lot of time together in the last 2 or 3 weeks thrashing out different approaches. Neil, because of the Neil, and even Andrew Kramer and a couple of other guys, Ira, and a couple of Jimmy, because they've all contributed, Tom Atwater as well. So all of you have helped, and I thank you. And you're going to get tonight imagine you gave us an idea and we massaged it and improved upon it to the point where, and simplified it. Things did not get more complicated, they got simpler. All that being said, let's dive in. So, first of all, welcome. And these are the segments we're going to do tonight. We're going to go, the first two are a little deep, but the last one, I expect that we will be doing that for 90 minutes. So this is my partner over here, Brian. Say hello, Brian.
Hello, Brian.
You would expect nothing less. All right. So we're going to start with what's behind the curtain. I'm not going to go through all of these and explain them ahead of time. One of the reasons I'm recording this, to be honest, this is a sales video as well, because I'm standing in front of a bunch of current users, and I'm certainly not going to stand up here and tell stories that you guys would easily uh, destroy if I was lying. So there's a degree of um, it's we have to have honesty here. So that being said, we're going to jump in and we're going to start with what's behind the curtain. And what's behind the curtain is basically, how does it work? Again, remembering that this is for newcomers and prospective purchasers as well. It's not deep because I want to be done with this whole section, all of it down to number 6 in 30 minutes. So first of all, the software, the AI engine built 600 systems. Now, some of you have heard this before, but in case you don't know, I want you to get a handle on what this is about. There are two distinct types of systems. One, the AI line is an approach that is designed to determine how the public should bet. And we'll talk more about that, but it's going to be very brief because most of you know this. And that is one unique, distinct type. The others, here is the example. It is the purpose of the AI line is to project what the odds on each horse should be. That does not mean we're trying to replace the tote board. And some of the things we've discovered with this are going to blow your mind. Moving along, the second type is the AI best horse and the 4 pace objects. They are all of the same type. And those of you who have used HSH or you use the reports in the system, they are basically designed the same way as those reports. Exception is the AI line because it has a very different shape. So the AI best horse, the purpose of that is to project the probabilities of each horse's his chances of winning. And the 4 pace objects. Now, and it's not complicated. They are just what they sound like. Pace E, this is the profile of what basically a wire-to-wire winner would look like. It does not include running style. It's not about running style. It's about what a horse who is on the lead at the first call within a length, what characteristics does he usually have? It's like selecting a pace line, except it isn't. Then there's pace EP, which is the second call winner, and late pace, which is later than the first call. So it could be a winner that challenged for the lead for the first time at either the second call, the third call, or in the final furlong, right at the finish line. And finally, stretch run, which would mean he did not make his move until the stretch call itself or at the finish line. Now, when I trained the AI, simplicity was rewarded. What that meant was, imagine there were what I called ants, 2 ants that were about equal. And if one of them was using 150 systems and the other one was using 180 systems, the ant with 150 would get a reward. And so, again, using less resources was always to be rewarded. So the end result was that no ant, and remember, there's one head ant, and that is the entire system itself. As I recall, there were actually 187 used systems. Okay. I included 200. In other words, I didn't bother to send the whole 600 because the bottom 400 were never being used. What's the point? So, but there were the 2 types because they were shaped differently. So, in other words, there were 2 types, 200 in each one, a total of 400 systems. And if you multiply them together, there would be 40,000 possible combinations. So what I'm saying is that the system does not say, oh, okay, this is a type 17 race and the AI line will be a type 17 and so will the best horse. So there are 2 different banks of systems. Now, the determinator's AI goal is to pick the right system for this race. That's why some of you have talked about how much you want to build these models. Gosh, how does it work in claiming sprints versus allowance routes? But see, the AI has already adapted to that. So you don't need to do that. Now, in other words, deTERMINATOR's AI is situation based. And this is very, very important. You think of, well, does that mean pace of race, the pace shape, or it means whatever the AI felt was necessary to build 40,000 different shapes. Well, it isn't. It did 200 in each variety, and they operate independently. But effectively, so there's about 400 different ones. Now, the whales are horse-based, where we are race-based. And race-based means it can take into it can understand this race has more early speed or less early speed, or it's on the turf, or it's on the dirt, or it's at a track like Turfway Park, where outside post positions have a distinct advantage for front runners and a disadvantage for closers. It is capable of understanding that, not on a track by track basis, but it is capable of grouping tracks together. It does all this automatically. Meanwhile, what the whales do is they have one giant global system, kind of like William Quirin built back in 1979 in Winning at the Races, a multiple regression system. And it is interesting to note, by the way, that he backfitted his system and then tested against the sample and did not win. But that was 1979. Okay. We're 45 years later. It's a different world. And AI can do what we couldn't do. But the whales, instead, imagine where our system might say, oh, this is a type 31 race for the AI line, and it's a type 73 race for best horse and pace objects. Okay. Well, the whales instead would say, this is a type 6 horse, and a type 6 horse wins this percentage of the race. They don't literally use that nomenclature, but what I'm saying is the horses in the race are an algorithm is applied to them, one single algorithm, as opposed to a very complex set of systems. So one global system compared to 40,000 combinations, but really 200 systems. And this is why they can't compete with us. I want that to settle in to your brain, and you need to buy into it, because I'm telling you, this stuff is that good. Okay. Brian, do you have some comments? And I really invite them.
Yeah, I think the most important thing that I've realized is if you let the AI do the work, you don't have to go into all the reports, do all the pace. It'll pretty much get you right to the end of what you need to do to make your profitable bet. There are times when you'll have two horses that the AI puts up that are very, very close, and you'll have to use some sort of a separator to split them apart if you don't want to bet them both. But the AI is just amazing on what it does and how much it takes away all of the work that we used to do.
That's awesome. That's exactly right. And I want to make it clear, I'm not saying don't use reports. I really I want to stress this, but the AI is something you can hang your hat on. It is so consistent. Not perfect, but consistent. So next up is the section we're on now called Meet the Wizards. Well, I made them up. They're like wizards. They kind of are. Um, and there's 6 of them. And wizards, you've not heard these words before. I'll tell you what caused me to use that phrase was when I put out my first AI product, it was Thoroughbrain. And there was a guy named Jeff. And Jeff once said publicly at a seminar, you know, if this was Salem, you'd be burned at the stake for being a witch. And that because the AI was so good at deciphering who was going to go to the front and stuff like that. And I thought it was kind of funny. I had that recently, so I decided to call them wizards. And let me give you a look. These 6 items are all I am using. And I'm not using all 6. But these 6, the AI line, which we've discussed, okay, all it is, its job is to predict how the public should bet, not how they will bet. We can bet into the AI line, but as you've seen, it's a bit top heavy. It has a tendency to really lean towards favorites. The AI best horse, which is just that, it's how good is this horse? I mean, that's what the whales do. That's the whole idea, is they're asking and answering the question, what is each horse's chances? What's his win percent? What should it be? Pace handicapping. Now, remember, pace handicapping without picking a pace line. It's creating a pace line. HSH users have been using this for decades, even if they didn't realize they were. But effectively, they're not picking pace lines. It's not. And it's deciding which model to use, despite the fact it's not keeping a model. And then we have the genre objects. Now, the genre objects, there's a handful of them that are really good. I have some customs of my own. I have invited people, when you want them, I will build them for you. You tell me what you want. I'll have the AI build it, I should say. It's not the same AI, but we don't want to spend time on that. And I don't think we're going to, maybe we'll look at 2 or 3 tonight at most. And then there's the Neil from Superstar Neil, our own personal superstar. And we're going to look at that one. Now, what you remember of the Neil, and I invite Brian to chime in, have we not taken this to another level?
Absolutely. Yeah, especially when you put it in the context of low and high horses, horses above the natural odds and horses below the natural odds limit level. I'm not sure what you would call it, but whatever the natural odds number. Once you apply the Neil to your low objects and your high objects, it's deadly. Really brings out the winners.
Yes, yes, it does. Okay. And finally, there's the morning line. Now, I'm not sure. Oh, I remember it was Ira and someone else, maybe either Tom or Andrew. I think Tom Atwater. They said there was a problem with the morning line showing up in the final step. And I thought, I've said this publicly, well, like, what's the big deal? Who would ever use that? And I got to thinking, it's that kind of thinking on my part that I tell people not to have. If you doubt something, well, go look at it. And so I started to handicap against the morning line. I was shocked to find that it works. And we'll spend some time on that. So moving on. Now, I might be 5 minutes behind, but we're doing pretty well. Okay, I want to talk about complexity a bit. And Brian and I talked about it a little bit today. And Brian, uh, do you feel like jumping in, or shall I give them a little groundwork first?
Now, why don't you start and I'll chime in?
Okay, so imagine there are games that we play like craps. You play craps, you put your money on the pass line. The only strategy you have available is to raise your bet, lower your bet the other side, not skip betting. You don't really have game strategies, you only have betting strategies. And it is essentially a one dimensional, non opponent game. Sure, you're playing against the house, but the house, all they're doing is taking the money and paying the money, and there's printed rules, and the dice are supposed to be square cubes, and the game's supposed to be legal. Okay. Roulette is the same way. I mean, uh, columns lose 5.26. No, the colors lose 5.26. Most of them lose 5.26%. And there isn't anything you're going to do to change that. But walk down the casino floor a bit and walk into the poker room. Now, they have posted rules, but that's a far different scenario. What's the difference? Well, you have opponents that play back at you. So what's a good play sometimes is not so good at other times. You ready, Brian? Can you say it? I think you can say it better than me.
Actually, when you have it would be more like playing casino, roulette, craps, baccarat, one right after another, all, and you don't know what the lineup is going to be. Actually, what I was thinking more is that everybody here tonight, there's only three ways of winning in a casino. One is sports, one is poker, and the third one is horses. And so everybody here tonight has chosen one of the only three ways to be able to win. So congratulations, you're on top of it.
Okay, he's right. But the key point, and the phrase that comes up, and some of you have heard me use this phrase, it's racing is a complex adaptive system. You're playing against an opponent, in this case, the world of racing, that is committed to taking your money. Now, imagine we do a test on something and it produces a positive expectancy. So we go out to play and up pops best horse and it says, well, this horse has a $2.42 return, dollar net. So a 21% profit. And then when you try it, you find that it doesn't produce 21%. Well, the reason is because to varying degrees, the public will see that horse potentially as being profitable as well. They may not have as sharp a pencil or calculator as we do, but effectively the world is reacting. It is adapting to what we do, just like we have had to adapt to the whales. Okay? And so effectively, it's like comparing playing solitaire to playing chess, where you have an opponent that does not have a rigid set of rules coming back at you. Okay? We call it a complex adaptive system in AI, and that's what racing is, especially because of the parimutuel environment. Okay, this becomes very important. We're not going to spend time on it, but I want you to get that. Now, moving on. What we've done and what our AI is all about is turning those 6 wizards into factors. You take one and you bet into another. You compare one to another and you learn something from that comparison. So think of it as each of those components are factors. And they're very dependable factors. Not saying, gosh, the best horse always wins. But what we see is that it is consistent. It may get things wrong, but in the long run, you don't have to worry about the fact that it's changing the rules or its approach from one race to the next if the 2 races were highly similar. Not highly similar maybe to the way you saw the races, but to the way the system sees the races. Now we get to the best part. I told you we're going to move pretty quick here.
Real quick on that, Dave.
Yeah, yes, please.
I think when I look at my using deTERMINATOR versus what I was doing before, I'm seeing when I'm using AI, my horses run a whole lot more often. They don't always run, but before I was getting 30, 50% of the time the horse was way out of it. It's more with the AI. It is much more dependable on making sure your horse is at least competitive.
I agree completely. And it takes, remember, I'm only looking at these components. That doesn't mean you can't use others. Use them to your heart's content. But these are dependable. And when you wake up in the morning and you're maybe not having a great day or you didn't sleep well last night, your artfulness may change from one day to the next. The AI does not. Now we get to the good part. So we have 6 what I can call them components. I called them wizards. They're really components that I'm going to work on tonight. Now, usually it takes 2 to win. It might take 3 depending upon your approach to the game. What do I mean? Well, I just want to win. I'm quite happy to win with win bets. In fact, I've said publicly, all I want is, let's say, 50% winners at 7-5, 8-5. That's all. That's a living, and I can bet a massive amount of money. But for some people, I use Tony the K as an example quite often because he's a professional player and he's a horizontal player. He bets multiple races, has to bet them ahead of time. And that's a different strategy. So as you define the game that you want to play, you're going to have to modify your strategy to make it work for you. Well, you do that like, for example, you'll notice nowhere there did you see mention of the tote board. If I were to add a component, this number 7 would be the tote board. But I didn't include it in the list because it is not part of my selection process. A little tiny bit where I would look up if I was deciding between 2 horses and one was 40-1 and one was 4-1, I'm going to assume if they are all other things being equal, the 4-1 is probably more likely to win the race, and therefore I want to bet him. So we're going to, in the strategies, we're going to talk about some strategies in number 7. But this idea of it takes 2, maybe 3. Brian?
And absolutely, the more complexity you put into the system, the more likely you are to be taken off the winner.
Amen. And remember how we were talking about this a couple of times in the last week or so, how most of the time when we go looking for more information, the reason that we're going looking is not because we need more information, but because we lack confidence, or we don't have a systematic approach or even a methodical approach to what to do in this situation. And therefore, we go looking for more information, despite the fact it may really have nothing to do with solving the problem. It just makes us feel better. And that cripples us as horse players. I will do that tonight to illustrate, but you'll see how different it really is. Okay, I think we ought to be ready to move on. Comments, questions? Anybody who has a question? Here we go. Are components the same as wizards? First of all, wizard was just a word that I picked because I kind of like the cute hats. And they are like wizards because they're kind of magical. Okay, they simply provide information. So there's nothing, no change. Components, they are components. What is an example of a component? Well, an example of a component, in fact, unfortunately, I have to go all the way back. There they are. These are the components. This is all I'm going to handicap with at all in all of the systems that I have. Brian, did I mention on camera about my 0 for 11 day today?
No, nope.
Okay, so I went to play live the other day, and I had, I believe, 8 races, and I lost them all, and people were feeling bad for me. Okay, what I was actually doing was testing a new BALO. I lost 8 in a row. I was testing throwing those horses out. I did not expect to lose 8 in a row. You guys were slamming all the winners because some of you were doing the exact opposite. I was essentially using the kneel to toss low odds horses. And
Quick definition.
What was that?
For a quick definition for the newbies, a BALO is a bet against low odds horse.
Yes, yes. But this one is different because they don't even run second. They just don't usually run. I think I picked up 3 or 4 seconds on horses that were 3 to 5 and 4 to 5. I loved it. So you're going to see that BALO in action tonight. So this is all we're going to use. And now I am going to start up. It's on the wrong screen, so it's coming. I opened a day that Brian and I looked at today. Brian, you feel like giving them a little background, and we'll do that system first?
Which one?
This is the exactas and the one with the
Okay.
kneel.
Okay. Basically, the system consists of separating your low horses from your high horses, and then betting your B on the low end and your G on the high horses.
There you go. That's the short version, and we're going to go a little more in depth. Let's see what I'm going to do. I have reloaded this day, and for those of you who have played with me, especially in the last couple of weeks, or you've seen some of the recordings, when I start at the top, I play race 1, the first race, second race, third race. I just go straight down the line. The only thing I skip is I skip races with less than 5 horses. And there might be another one that I might skip. I have a bug. I hate to admit it, but I have a bug. And if it comes up, I don't think it does in this sample that we're going to do now. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to open the very last race on the day at Grants Pass, only because I want to take the results, open the results, and put it's on another monitor. I just did not want the results to show while we are handicapping races. And I'm going to also open, this is, those of you who like to watch the run race, you'll notice I've made it larger and given a background color. This only, of course, works when you have a chart. But I'm going to pull this stuff out of the way, and I will pop it up as we need it. All right, so now I'm going to go to the top. I'm going to finish that race. So we're going to start with this first at Laurel. And the AI opens up. Remember, those of you who don't have the program, if you're seeing this, and I'm not, I refuse to be a marketer. I'm done with that. I am not teaching the program here. I am teaching strategies. So my handicap calc, final step, and we will take a look at the chaos level. There's a couple of strategies that we will change. We'll go straight to the final step. Okay, now our strategy here, as Brian has said, I'm actually going to put on glasses so I can see this screen. The first thing is we're going to fire the low-high system. And all it is taking the AI line and divide, if we sort by the AI odds, if it's green, it's AI, for anybody who doesn't know that. This is a 5-horse field. So horses, natural odds would be 4-1. And so any horse that's 4-1 or higher is an H. Everybody else is an L. It's that simple. So here we are. What I'm going to do is reverse mark. All the marks are off. I'm going to reverse the marks. I fired this. I'm going to come over here to fire the kneel. Notice I am firing it against the morning line. This AML is morning line. By the way, I will change that. I'm changing the nomenclature because AML is also an object and I don't want people to mix it up. This is the track morning line adjusted for scratches and adjusted for correction of not the right number of percentage booking percents. Okay, that's all we're using here. That's been changed, but yes, on most of them, but it is mistaken here. So our rules, first of all, are very simple. We're going to show only, now we're going to, and then I'll explain the rules. Clear the marks and mark the L's. And you can see now only the L's are marked. So they come in 3 flavors. Actually, I'm going to show them this way. If I sort them like this, this is everybody. G's are horses that are overbet when you consider, that is, the AI line is going to be much higher or much higher than the morning line. This horse should be 17-1. Well, should be, whatever that means. And the morning line is much lower. So this horse is a G. He's overbet. The B's are underbet. The ones in the middle, which would go 1.0 is precisely even. So 93 to 107 is in the middle, and it's kind of a blank. Okay. Now, here's the simplest strategy. G's are bad for low odds horses, period. We're going to throw them out, but we don't have any G's here. Okay. If we don't have any G's, we don't have anybody to automatically throw out. All I've done here is opened the AI line. This is a magnitude 1, this is a magnitude 2. I can split on that, and this is a B compared to a blank. Therefore, I will take the 11, so I will unmark the 7, and I'm just doing this to store things. I'm going to Dutch during this sample. But all I'm doing right now is tagging him as being a bet. I'm betting $30 in each race. So he is my first horse. So I'm going to unmark. Okay, and now, but I have saved, notice he's still got his money in there. So we'll be able to find him very easily. Now I mark the H's. The only thing you need to know is that for high odds horses, G's are good. Or a better way to say it is, just like the G's were bad for L's, the B's are bad for high odds horses. So we're going to throw the 8 out. Now, how many horses are we going to bet? Well, it's a 5-horse field. I'm going to handle that for you. What we're looking for here is who goes underneath in the exacta, right? And who might we also bet? What we want to bet is half the field. So if we take, this is a 5-horse field, 5 divided by 2, it would be 2.5. We will round that to 3. So we want to bet 3 horses. Okay? Well, okay. So remember, okay, we had 3 and 2. So in other words, we have a 5-horse field. We want to bet 3 horses. 1 was a low, so we're going to bet 2 more. We have our 2. That's all there is to it. We know all we need to know. I'm going to unmark. I'm now going to check marked or bet. Remark this horse. And this is technique. You can learn it. And Dutch. Okay, this is not advanced. It's not complicated. It's simplistic. We're betting win bets and we're betting exactas. That's it. It's that simple. Okay, and we're just going to run the race. So we have 1, 9, and 11. By the way, before we do that, I'm going to stick this up here. I'm going to switch to the tote board, and now I can see what I'm returning. Okay, but I kind of can't help it because this is the guy that we think is going to win the race. Now, could I Dutch differently? I will vacillate back and forth. When I do the Dutch, it's 26 and 4 here, and if I Dutched over here, I get 18. Well, I do look at the tote board, and I'm convinced this horse is winning the race. It's just logical to me. I would rather build my profit around this horse winning than trying to recover it somewhere else. I can't Dutch on the tote board. If I was to do that, if I could, I'd bet even more, right? So here I am, and this is what I'm expecting to get back. I'm quite happy with that. So we watch the running of the race. Oh, by the way, our exacta would be 11 over 1 and 9, and logically the reverse of that. So we'd be looking at $8 invested in an exacta as well. And we watch the race, and there's our 11. We don't have the 8. He was the one that we bet against. Here comes the 11, and the 11 wins, but we lose the exacta. And let's see if I can find it over here. So we didn't do bad. I mean, we bet 30, we got back 57, but we lost our exacta money. Whoa, no exactas in the race. Or no, maybe there's an error in the payoffs. Might have been because of the short field. Don't know. All right. So we lost our first exacta, but we actually made money in the race. Finish the race, move on, and we're going to go faster. Handicap calc, final step, chaos 1. I'm not explaining that for people who are new. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse the marks, fire the system. I'm going to go to the kneel. I'm now going to clear the marks, mark only the L's. So we have 2 horses. Now remember, the G's are throwouts. Okay, the G's are throwouts, but we don't have to throw this guy out. However, we may want to separate. Now here we're looking at AI line. If we had things, if we will break a lot of ties. Here, if I look at best horse, we're kind of all over this 6. AI line says 6, best horse. If you wanted to do that, I would break ties on either AI line. Morning line is usually the tiebreaker. Okay. So, or I can bet both horses. It's completely up to you. Okay. But this is a 6-horse field. I let with the lows, I allow a 1 to beat a 2. So I'm playing the 6. It's just logical. I will do that consistently. So once again, I hit the Dutch to save him. I clear the marks. I fire the H's. I hit save as I go by. So all of these horses qualify. Okay? Now, I am not advocating in this kind of chaos race, I am not advocating that we're just going to the high number. The first thing we want is to qualify our horses. You could do AI line. And by the way, I want to change the magnitude. For H horses, we set the magnitude to 3 as opposed to 2. Okay, I could also use best horse if I wanted to. Okay, we're picking 2 horses. And if we looked at it from the standpoint of AI line, we would have certainly the 4. But I'm not using rank of 3. I'm using magnitude of 3. I'm using best horse if I choose to, in which case I get 1 and 4. If I had a tie and there were 3 of them, I would subsort on morning line odds. This is as solid as I can get. So pretty clearly, I'm going to have 1 and 4. Those are marked. Now I go back and I get marked or bet. I mark this. I go to, I've got a Dutch on something. Let's look at the Dutch. So $20 on the 6, who is the most likely winner. Okay, or, and Dutch again, $10. Yeah, I don't know about that. Okay, but let's consider, let's go back. Okay, so let's look at the tote board. And if I were to Dutch, remember, I don't want to Dutch on the tote board. I might Dutch a race at, with a minute to post, but these are perfect odds. But what I'm really looking for here, I don't want to Dutch against the tote board. What I want to look at, actually, there, typically I err on the side of the morning line. I want to look at which results will, where can I expect to get the profit? So I'm looking at a situation here, remembering I wouldn't have the last minute odds, but I'd have maybe, well, the horses are really 0 minutes to post, but they're probably 2 minutes from being in the gate, or 1 minute. So I'm quite happy with this. I don't want to, in other words, I'm dutching in such a manner that this is how I would logically play, not tilting it towards the tote board beyond the fact that I want to orchestrate the situation that would kind of work well. So I'm going to use these horses right here. Oh, and how would I bet this in the exacta? So I would take the L horse, the 6, and I would key the 6 over the 1 and the 4, and I would do the reverse. I would not bet the 1-4 exacta, because most likely the 6 is going to get in there somewhere. So once again, I have 1 over 2 horses and the reverse, so I'm in $8. And I'm notorious, by the way, of saying that wrong. So Brian, you're in charge of correcting me. So we have 6, 1, and 4. 6, the 1 goes to the front, followed by the 6, 6, 1, and there's the 4, and the 4 wins. Easy. I'm going to pull that out of the way. So we bet 30, we got back 50. Our 3 horses went 1, 2, 3. We're not looking at trifectas here. This is not a trifecta strategy. I haven't got a clue. Oh, something's wrong here. I'm not getting my exacta payoffs. I wonder if there's a corruption with the day. I'm going to reopen this day because something has blown up. So I'm just going to reopen, and we will go back to that aqueduct race next. So I'm going to open the day again. I did have a problem earlier. Something I did and the system hung up. And it acted just like this. Something's not right. It always happens when, oh, there, it came through. It was just slow. I don't know why. Okay. So now we're back to being open. So let's see, do we have finished races here? No, we've done Laurel and let's open Laurel and see the results. This is the one where we missed the exotics. There, they're back. Remember, we did not have the first race at Laurel. We missed the exacta with the 8 horse, I believe. Yeah. Okay. So I'm finished with that race. And now we go to the aqueduct first. And as you know, we just hit the exacta. I'll open the results, right? So we're in 30, got back 50. $28. You know, what is it, a 5-horse field? 6-horse field, $28 with a 9-5 over a 7-2. See, that's one of the things that this does. It gets shockingly good prices. I'm going to pull that out of the way, finish the race, and we'll move on to Gulfstream Park first race. Notice 2 first-time starters, my handicap calc, final step, look at the AI, Chaos 5, always like those. Okay, now moving along, and Brian, interrupt if you have any comments, please. So we're going to start.
Will do.
Go ahead. All right. Reverse marks. Notice I'm just moving across the screen. Okay, I like to do that. Doesn't matter. So now I'm going to clear the marks, load the L's, marked only. Now, this is a really interesting race. I've been doing this for days. I have never seen, I've seen two of these where I have four L's and they are all bad bets. Now, I'm going to tell you ahead of time, both of the races that I have seen that had this phenomenon, none of the horses won. And that includes this race, because Brian and I looked at this race this afternoon, and the winner is not on this screen. Okay? So what do we do? Imagine we want to flesh out an exacta of some kind, and we know that one of these horses is probably going to be in the race, in the exacta. Okay? So we need to do something. We have nobody that we can throw out, right? Well, I could look at best horse. There's all kinds of things I can do, but for this, the purposes of this race, I'm going to say it's like shooting. It's like throwing darts. You just don't know. And I don't want to go down here and start using other things. I just want to stick up here. So all I'm going to say at this point is I'm going to sort by the AM, by the morning line. I gotta find something else. So it's got to be one of these two that I would include in the exacta. Since I don't think they're going to win, I will only bet these two underneath in the exacta. That's logic. Since I can't pick a winner, but I got to pick somebody because these horses will be there. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to mark these horses. I'm going to clear the marks, and I can tell you I know the result that they don't win. We looked at it this afternoon. Okay, so here are the H's. Again, there's nobody I can throw out. Now, what do we know about Chaos 5 races? There's a saying that you can't handicap them. And there's a time and a place for that. I completely agree. However, in this instance, what we have is all of these horses. There's 6 of them. Okay, we have 2 things we can do. We can sort by this, and remember, this is a 10-horse field. We want 5 horses. 2 of them are L's. That leaves 3. I could take 10, 8, and 3. Okay? I could also just take morning line. Those are my 2 logical choices because that's what I do. And in splitting between the 10 and the 9, because they're tied, well, I'd prefer this guy to that guy who doesn't have one. Simple logic. So I'm using these 3. I unmark. I mark all the bets. Now, this is crazy. I'm going in with 5 horses. This was I never had a rule for this. Okay, this was just logical. So now, if I Dutch the whole bunch, oops, I'll be on Dutch. I'm going to make that the default. Okay, so if I look at the tote board, okay, and logically, I would really want a Dutch on morning line. But what I want you to see is the logic here. If we're looking to make a win bet here, so if the most likely winner comes in, I lose $2. If the second most likely winner comes in, I make $25. So you can kind of bend things. I mean, I'd like to bet $1 on this horse or skip him altogether. But really, it's not a good exacta race. I mean, a win bet race. I can consider looking in the other direction, but doesn't really matter. I would probably not bet this race to win. but I would bet an exacta. And how would I bet the exacta? I'd bet 10, 3, 8 over the three highs over the two lows. Why would I not put the lows on top? Because I don't think they're going to win. I mean, so what I have effectively, count it up for me, Brian. I have 3 and 3. I have 6 tickets, right? $12.
$12. Yep.
$12. Okay. We run the race. And so what do we have? I should hang them out there so I can see them. I'm going to move it over here. There we go. All right. Too many horses to follow. 2 goes to the front. And there's the 5 at 60 to 1 that we don't have. And the 8. 2 and 8. The 3 comes up and wins, and the 2 runs second. Okay? And again, a first-time starter, by the way. Again, I would not have played this race to win. So we wind up with 7 to 5 over 5 to 1, and we get back $35. So we got almost 2 to 1 on the money in a race where we had to spread a lot of horses to get there. But what I want you to see and notice is that the artfulness is in the structuring of the bets and the structuring of the play when there's a gray area. I'm not searching for more information. I'm simply logically using the components on the screen. And Brian, you may have, I think this afternoon when we talked about it, you had a comment about that as well. But feel free, please interrupt. There's too much me here.
Actually, Obi-Wan Schwartz, I'm not sure there is. You're doing a fine job.
All right. But fire up when you got them. All right. So I'm clearing the marks. I'm refiring the L's. So here we have a G and 2 B's. Now, the beauty of this strategy is it tells you when you need to bet 2 L's. So we're throwing the 5 out. We're not splitting them, right? I mean, I don't like splitting on AI line, by the way. Why? Because that's just, look, this horse could be he was projected to be a low odds horse, and now he's going off at 10 to 1 and I'm going to throw him out? No, no, no. This is, I don't know who wins this race, but this is the kind of money play you want. Now, AI line is different than best horse. I like separating on best horse. Okay, there's some other things I like separating on, but I want to keep this as simple as possible. So these 2 are in, clear the marks, H horses, sort. They're all qualified. Now, these guys, I don't mind looking there for AI line, but I really prefer best horse. And I can certainly build a case for the 2 of these. I mean, they're real horses, right? But here we have one that is just plain crazy odds, but look at this guy. Okay, I got to have that guy. Oh, what kind of chaos is this? Chaos 1. Okay, so I'm going to introduce a genre that I like. Now, genre plays, these are the AI, as I've talked about in the past. I don't know if this one is part of the equation or not, but the AI built 800 objects, of which I've managed to codify a handful of them. It's quite a bit of work, and they are pretty much in order as I've gone to get them, except people want, and the genre, like this is literally about odds. This is running style and so forth, because people asked for them. So I went and searched. But specifically, one of the things I like is called odds, 8-1 and up, looking for high dollar nets. Okay, so this is one that I can use if I want to use it. But the truth is, most of what I do is this, and twos and threes are not to be separated, right? But I am taking them both in, so the 10 and the 1 go in. I have nothing else really to base it on. I have this horse that's a bit lumpy at 26-1, and he's actually going off really high. So I'm going to simply sort by the kneel. That's how you swing for the fence with chaos races. And if you sort by morning line, I'm looking at, see, ultimately, if I do nothing, I wind up with 6, 1, and 3. If I sort this way, I wind up with 3, 1, and something else. Okay. So do you notice the commonality? See, I'm using my tools to search for better information. I've got best horse, which obviously makes me want 1 and 10. Okay. But when I do the kneel, I get 3, 1. Remember, I need 3 horses, right? Is that right? I need 3 or 2. See, 8 would be 4.
So,
I have 2. I need 2. So in other words, using the kneel, I get the 3 and the 1. Or I get the 10 and the 1. I'm certainly putting the 1 in. Okay. And I can go on and on using 8-1, looking at grade, or I don't use grade. Sorry. Don't separate on grade very much. Okay. So at the end of the day, pretty much I'm here. Okay. And the fact that in other words, there were 2 of them that got 1 and 3. When I'm still in doubt, I just take the top 2 right here. I couldn't really build a solid case for any horse other than the 1. So the 1 is in. Whoops. And I'll take these 2. Mark. I show the bet. So now we have 4 horses. Okay. And we Dutch. And usually I just go right to morning line. Okay. If I look at the tote board, sort by the tote board. So I'm in the situation where if the lowest odds horse wins, I do fine. Not crazy about the 1. What if I went to morning line? Oh, maybe that was morning line. Yeah, I don't do well there. I'd rather see how I've got more up here. So I'm going to try AI line and then switch. Now that's even worse. So I'm just going to stick with this. That's the best I can do. Okay. So we'll watch the race.
the exact bet.
Oh, thank you. Okay, the exacta is pretty straightforward. Now, in this case, if we sorted by morning line, interesting that we don't have the L's together. What I want, I'm going to sort on AI line there. So I want the 7 and the 8. I'm figuring that is that right? No, morning line there. I want the 7 and the 1 to be the keys. I'm always going with the lowest, and I use morning line because the tote is a moving object. So I'm using the 7 and the 1 as a key. So I have 7-1 over 8 and 3. How many tickets is that, Brian? Is that 8?
$12.
$12? Is that all?
Two
7
times.
over 8 and 3. I don't do 7 and 1.
Oh,
Wait a
okay.
minute. Wait a minute. That's a low and a high. I'm wrong. Oh, I didn't notice that. Yeah, no, it's the two lows over the highs, right? No, no, it isn't. It's the two lowest odds, right? So I have 7 and 1 over 8 and 3, right? Okay. So how many is that? So that's 2 tickets. And then, so it's 4 tickets is 8 tickets because I'm going the other way around as well.
Okay.
Isn't that 8 tickets? $16?
Yes.
Okay. Did we run the race? No. 7 and 8 go to the front. 8, and here comes 3, and looks like the 5. Oh, and the 1 gets up. 3. Yeah, 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 yeah. 3 and 1. Well, and the win bet worked pretty much the way I mean, I'm not thrilled about having only $3 on this horse, but it was a golden opportunity. So we wound up again with a 2-to-1 shot underneath and $130 exacta. But notice it's the strategy. It's the application of the strategy. Okay. Now, I don't want to keep going through them one race at a time. We'll be here forever, but I'm going to do a couple more. We're not going to talk so much about tickets. We're not going to run the races. We're just going to calculate and play. AI is 1. All right. So we're going to reverse marks, only file and Neil. Okay, well, got to put something in there, don't we? Doesn't matter what I'm putting in because I only need it if I have ties. All right, now clear marks, mark the L's. Okay. Now, AI line, again, I don't like using this. I will if I have to, but so I've got 1 and 2. They kind of both qualify. We're going in with both horses. It's as simple as that. So I Dutch just to hold on to them. I clear the marks. I mark the H's. The first thing we see is the 1 goes out. Okay, I want to make sure there's nobody I'm overlooking here. Maybe I throw this in. I don't know. You tell me. If we looked at this in order, if we looked at it, if we looked at this by percent, we'd have. By the way, I find this works well. I'm saying the words. If I look at it with the Neil, I have 5 and 2. Right? We have 6 horses. We have 2 in the low end. We can only pick 1. So if I do this, I have the 5. Okay. If I do it by percent, I have either 6 or 5, of which I would take the lower odds horse. And they're not much to separate, right? I don't like any of these. And when I don't like any of them, I mean, maybe I might find an excuse to go with, right? Again, we're only putting in 1 horse. Who's the most likely? And remember, I'm not making the decision with the tote board because I am making my decision about 7 or 8 minutes to post on who I am going to bet. And I don't think I'm going to get a good answer on horses at this odds range. So I'm kind of leaning towards the 2 horse or just taking the high one here. I don't know. I'm just guessing here. And best horse gives me nothing. This gives me nothing. I mean, I just don't know. So I'm just going to take the low morning on. Whoops. I clicked something. Oh, that guy came back. Mark. So I'm simply going to take the 1 horse. So I'm taking the others out. Mark, 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 mark them all. And Dutch. Okay, 24 on the low, which would get me back 26. I kind of don't like that one. What about this? See, I'm not putting great work into this. So the 4 horse is the only way. I mean, he's 1 to 9. I mean, I don't much like this. So there's nothing I can really do other than some other betting strategy, or I swing for the fence here. One is an H, it's a B. Oh, I got the wrong horse in. Thank you. So hang on. I'm going to clear bets. I'm going to Dutch. Thank you. Clear. And do the H's again. Yeah, I accidentally tagged the wrong horse. So I'm going to go on. Yeah, I probably should have gone on this horse here. But it really doesn't matter because it's all a guess. It happens that way. If everything is tied, I choose morning line. So I guess I should be on the 2. And mark all. Marked only. Dutch. I'm really more concerned about the 4. Yeah, the only shot here is the 2. I don't see a win bet. And yeah, I'm disqualifying this, but pretend I didn't play it. Okay. But that's what we wound up with was the 4. Oh, well, then I should have had 2 horses. I thought, oh no, I had 2 lows. That was the challenge. Yeah. $16 is a hell of a pay, but I don't think I would have actually played this race. Okay. All right. I think that's enough of this. Questions before we start throwing up other strategies? We're going to keep going same day and just do different strategies instead. Anybody? Make sure to check the AML box next to Neil. Yeah, that actually is the default now because hardly anybody is using the tote board. Okay, we're going to switch to another strategy that centers on best horse. And we'll do a few races. I want to show you some strategies. I always like knowing this. Okay. I want to show you some strategies that use best horse, reverse mark. They still start with the same steps. Okay. Now, when you look at the L's, it always begins with the L's throwing out the B's. And I mean the G's. So the 2 is out. Okay. These horses rarely win. Now we're looking at best horse. Now, one thing of interest is that A's and A pluses bet into the AI line. You guys want to make notes of this stuff. Everybody will get that version. And by the way, I think it's been in your Dropbox for days, but I've got new upgrades. Okay, so best horse into the AI line, A's and A pluses are mildly profitable all by themselves. All by themselves. That's all you need. But eliminate the G's. If you have one that's profitable that is a G, put them back in. If that horse was an A or an A plus, an A minus is not good enough. Okay? So in this case, if this is a strategy, don't throw everything out there. I'm saying you start by throwing out the L's that have G's. Okay. Then if best horse and looking for value, this is profitable, flat bet profitable. It is especially profitable when you have an L to bet against, going back to that, especially if he does not. I know at 8-1, he doesn't pay much money back, but he was 3.5-1, and 5-1. Yeah, this one isn't enough to give you profit. But if you had one that was lower, that's enough to probably break you even. Okay, so we're taking out that G, and we are preferring this. Okay, now I'm going to put that guy back in because I want to teach another strategy. Remember, this supersedes all of it. AI line, flat betting into morning line is also profitable. Okay? So that's another strategy you can use. I'll tell you who won this race. By the way, this one into morning line is not as good as it is into AI line. An A, again, in AI line, I'm not saying an A plus is not as good as an A. I'm saying if you're going to use best horse, use AI line. If you're going to use AI line, you bet into morning line. Do not try to bet into the tote board. If you try to bet into the tote board, you are just like the guys who are sitting there in the gate and they find a profitable horse and it gets wiped out. I read, you guys are looking for upgrades. The only one that has the upgrade would be the team. Okay, and since nobody responded that they were using it, I didn't release it to the world. Okay, so back on track here. Make sure you know this. In other words, this by itself is enough to beat the game, not by much, maybe 4-5 cents per wagered dollar. Okay? But it works on lows as well as highs. Let's look at the highs. Oh, sorry, clear mark highs. Okay? Sort by grade. In a chaos race, okay? So what are you looking at here? By the way, the winner is not on the screen. I'm looking at it over here. The one horse won the race. The one that we had is the A plus. Okay. So if we were to throw out all but the A pluses, and then this 5 horse kind of shines as being a profitable horse. Okay. Please, I'm telling you, go back to the 55 race sample. There's that, and there's probably 400 more races that I've tested. It is not documented. I'm telling you, it wins. This horse ran second. Could very well have won the race. These are live horses. See how you need a couple of components. You have value, and here you have a qualifier. Imagine you could put them all together. Okay? You don't even have to split them into high and low. But we do know the reason we split into high and low. So if I sort by grade, okay, and I take all the profitable plays, it's harder to get to the truth. I got to throw all of these out. Oh, I sorted. I meant mark there. I'm ultimately down to 2 horses. Watch that again. Okay, here I have best horse. Okay, I sorted by grade, taking the A's and above. A minus is, mark all, reverse. So I've got all the profitable plays. This guy being a B, he's an L. That's great. Sort by percent. Want first and second magnitude for this play. You don't go down to third. These are the two horses. You can Dutch them, you can flat them. Now, here's a strategy that you're going to like. What you want to bet is 40-60. Okay? So, in the long run, first of all, if you're trying to Dutch on the tote board or satisfy the tote board, you're not going to like it much. But in the long run, you don't make much with the one horse winning. But I really what I'm looking for here for 40-60, because the one horse wins. What I'm really looking for here is when you have like 5-2 and 4-1, especially on morning line, because the winner gets hammered down. 75% of the time, the odds on the winning horse go down, which is like saying 3 times out of 4, you're wrong. So you might as well start upside down. So seriously, if you're not Dutching, this is a wonderful way to play. In this instance, it would not have been as good. Okay, I'm going to show you some more stuff. By the way, on the topic of testing, unless you're prepared to go out and get 1,000 races, you just have to trust your gut. I mean, like Brian said, when you see your horses are consistently in the battle and you're getting the calls, you're in good shape. If you're looking for absolute data, just know that it's going to take you months and months to do that. And then we're going to retrain the data, the engine. And the engine's going to change. Okay, let's do this again. I have no idea what race we're looking at. Okay, let's here. Oh, let's do them all. So we want to reverse the marks. Whoops. Do the kneel, and then clear the marks, mark the L's. And why are we doing this? Because here is an A plus, the 6, and I'm looking at results. This 6, how do you suppose he finished? Dead last. Now he went off at 4-1, okay, but he finished dead last. But you knew it right here. So that doesn't count. Now the 4, on the other hand, won the race. No reason to bet this guy. You want to look at AI line, you can do that. AI line into morning line, there's no value on him. Okay? So we know we like the 4. Let's clear the marks. We know we like the 4. And on the high side, we've got 2 A pluses, but none of them are real contenders. Okay, if you're looking for exactas, that's a different story. Okay, in this process, a wonderful way to find the exactas is this guy right here. He ran second. Another one would be this one here, in which case you'd have the 5 who finished at 19-1 way down the track. You don't want to look at all of these. Take a strategy and stick with it. Okay? That's all you need is one strategy, one solid strategy. Don't use them all. So let's just a little review here thus far. I want to look at AI race, chaos one. Okay. A little review. Thus far, we've talked about AI line. You can AI line into morning line. You can best horse into AI line. You can use odds. This is really a pretty good object, but we always reverse marks, fire that system, look at the kneel, clear the marks, fire the L's. Okay, here's the one. He's going out. Another loser. 2-1. Finished 10.5 lengths off. This flat works. We're talking about throwing a loser out all the time. One of the lows with ease. And this was a 2-1 shot. Okay. Clear the marks. Look at the H's. And the 4, long shot, big deal. But he was an A plus qualifier. Throw him out. This is how you get to profit with the kneel. You would have been all over this horse. He's a 1-1 for gosh sakes. Or maybe he isn't. Yeah, he is. There. He's a 1-1, but he's a bad kneel. He went up 21 to 29. Just for morning line is that good. It's not good enough to make profit. It's the relativity. It's a kink in the system between the AI line and the morning line. Remember the AI line, a key component in the AI line is morning line. It should be first, but often it probably isn't. And that's why it works. Okay? So if we were using the best horse, okay, we would have this horse, and we go back, we clear the marks, we go back to the L's, we toss that 1, we have no other bets, right? Who was that on the other end? The 4. To make this stuff work, you pretty much need both of these. You would think one of these horses would win the race. It didn't. Neither the 5 won the race. Paid $21. It happens. The 3 did run second. So this is not, let's just for the heck of it, okay, let's put everybody in and let's pace handicap the race. If you're going to pace handicap the race, this is why the windows are laid out the way they are. Okay. So what you want is to take the green 3 and the green 4 and meld them together. So late pace, value of 1, and stretch run, opened. Come on, open up. Value of 1, meld them together. Oh, you can't do it in a race like this. I'm sorry. You don't want to use pace in a first-time starter race. Okay. Don't mix and match. Oh, by the way, the 5 horse won the race. Wait a minute. I did the wrong one. Clear, reverse marks. There's a 5 for you. Okay. It's not a bad way to play. You take all the H's that are G's. When you're in doubt and you don't know who to play, or you're looking to fill out a horizontal ticket, right? Just do a Chaos 5. You will hit some amazing prices. So you come up with this, and you sort by morning line, and you take the top two, and you're in business. Now, and just to be clear, okay, so this was I think it's the L, and he was one of our contenders. But I know there's 16 ways to get at every single race. Try something. These tools are powerful, and they discover horses that you're just not going to get otherwise. For those of you who want, one of the reasons I discovered that the G was so powerful, and I know you're out there, Tony, I've been working for over a month because I want to get Tony to be able to really do something special with, I use a Chaos 5 race, with his horizontal bets. And I came across something for him to use. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to connect because he has some computer issues. So let's look at this race. Okay. And by the way, in case anybody is wondering, I have not done my homework here and set all this stuff up. Okay. I just have not done that, other than Brian and I worked together on that first thing today. And the reason, and I'm really jabbering here, but the reason that we worked on it, Brian, do
Yeah.
you tell them the story about the, if you're up to it, about the what you said about the exactas? And I said it was interesting that you mentioned that, your experience in Las Vegas.
Oh, I was using a little bit older method of picking winners, and I was doing well. I was up, you know, probably 15-20% after a day. And I didn't take Dave's advice because last week he told me this is great for getting winners, but you don't get the second place horse. And with the revisions that he's outlining tonight, he's found a way to get that second place horse. You could always get winners, you just couldn't get the second horse, and this is really putting us on it.
Yeah, it really is. And it's funny because when he said that, I said, you're going to love our meeting because I had just been figuring this out. Okay, so looking at this race here, I'm going to tell you ahead of time, the one is the winner of the race. This is a first time starter and he pays 1160. Okay, so imagine, here's what we're going to do. We're going to clear, we're going to look at the L's, of which there are two. Okay. Now, when you separate these guys, don't hesitate. You're looking at best horse here. Okay. If you want to attack this like this, okay, I don't, in other words, if I have two B's, I play them both. I have a blank here. He's not good enough to be an automatic play. Okay. And he's a 3 for AI line. If you want to look AI line into the morning line, everything points to this 7 horse. Again, I would not jump around like this. I use a rigid strategy. I'm simply telling you that the 7 is the play here. Okay. And the 7 does not win. And all right, we're going to do that. Okay. So now I clear the mark. Oh, still that. I want the H's. And I've told you ahead of time, the 1 is the winner of the race. Okay. Now, I do not automatically throw this horse out, but with this many horses, yeah, I'm pretty much throwing them out. I do not use rank to justify horses. I use magnitude. There might be an exception to it, but all right. Now, I don't know if this works or not in this race, but you see, I'm trying all kinds of things to justify. This is what we have a tendency to do. Don't do that. Find a strategy and stick with it. Okay? That's all you want to do. When you have large fields like this, just take the damn G's. Okay? Now I've got the G's, sort by morning line. How many horses do you want? Because this is where you're going to get most of the winners. This is a really powerful tool, especially when it's hooked up with the Neal. Looking at the morning line, okay, so how many horses do we need for the exacta? We need, so we 11 would be 12, would be 6, so we need 5 horses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? We don't get the exacta, I don't think. Oh yeah, do we? I don't know that we do. No, we don't get the exacta. So, Dutching. See, this is why I prefer the morning line. See how far off it is? Whereas, especially in races with first-time starters, okay? We're not getting rich. You can't spread that deep in a non. Oh, was this a Chaos 5? Yeah. Oh. Okay. In a Chaos 5 race, when you're making win bets, you don't even need a 7. Okay. Wait a minute. I lost my horses. There we go. Okay. In a Chaos 5 race, if you're swinging for the fence or you're a multi-race player, okay, just go straight for the G's. Okay? Take those, sort by the Neal. I'm going to clear all the bets. Okay? And I would still sort by morning line to find key horses, right? And I would go down some number of horses. Okay, some number, I don't know, 3, 4, and as keys. Remember, you're trying to score here. And let's say here, see how I've got all of these? And a look on the tote board, right? So imagine, in other words, if I've got too many horses, I probably want to throw out a guy like this. I don't know. Or you find an excuse. Certainly those 4 are in. Why? Because they're all reasonable numbers. Remembering that you don't have this, and you would hate to lose an $82 horse. You might take a look at this. Okay, you could look at that for grades as well. But the idea of getting the horses in, and just so you key these horses, you still don't get the exacta, but when you Dutch, you wind up getting money back. You make money, not big money. But I think most horizontal players are looking for keys. And you have to work harder to find those keys, but it sure helps in knowing where you stand when it comes to the horses that you're going to automatically throw out. Oh, got to put them in first. Okay, clear, L's. Okay, here's the one horse. The one horse went off at 3-2. Let's just call it another loser by 28 lengths. Have you noticed we haven't missed one of those?
It's amazing.
It is shockingly so. Even I didn't realize how good it was. I thought even going 0 for 11 the other day was a fluke. It clearly was not. Okay, so we're going in with two horses already, 7 and 6. Nothing exciting there. And because neither one of them won, I can tell you that. And clear marks. Look at the H's. Okay, here. Let's go. Let's look at best horse. Let's look at, again, this is one of my go-to objects. Oh, pops up with 1-1. That'll do it for me. Now, I know who won in the race, but 1-1s are hard to come by. When you couple that with G's, okay, this is, of course, oops, let's say we're going to mark all of these, and we're going to Dutch. And it really helps to have the results sitting over here. I mean, I didn't get snazzy about the Dutching, but imagine if you're a horizontal player, you can prospect just for the H's. You know, two things. You want some L's and you want some H's, but obviously the H's are where, if we had Dutched on the tote or I had worked on it, it wouldn't have made much difference. I would have had twice as much money on the horse. AI line, I would have had less, right? Okay, let's move on to a new strategy. Oh, okay. When you get this warning, low confidence, these are the best races on the planet to play. It's the ones that nobody knows how to handicap. We have an edge. Chaos 5. Okay. By the way, when you're in the Chaos 5s, I don't want to mislead people. Do not automatically assume that Chaos 5 races result in no favorites winning. Here, let's just open up. And now we clear the marks and go to the L's. Okay, here's a 3 horse. Son of a gun, they won one. So you're not going to have it. I don't know how many we've looked at, but we've tossed what, maybe 15 horses, 15 races? All right, seriously, new strategy. I want to talk about pace. Pace can be very powerful, but the way I've learned to use it, we
Dave,
still, yes,
first time starters in this race.
yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Well, then we'll just do this. Thank you. We'll just do this one thing and reverse the marks and L's. Let's see. I want to vindicate myself. Well, I don't have one. We certainly have the 2 horse who wins the race at 4-5 and is the clear play. Okay. Shocking. A third tier L that you could throw out. Okay, let's finish this. Gulfstream third. Okay, pace handicapping. But consistently, those no low confidence races, because they are low confidence for everyone. And okay, so we clear the marks, we mark the L's. And I hate to say it, boys and girls, Brian, keep him busy for a minute. If I don't take a bathroom break, I'm going to die. Be right back.
Not a problem. Hopefully everything's going well. I see where several of you don't have the updated version with the AML checkbox. It's really makes a difference. Um, One word of note, last night in the meeting, we went over and did a contest. And in the contest, I came in 17th. But we had a celebrity among us, Jim Palmier, came in second, won himself $100 in the contest. So congratulations, Jim. That was excellent. Why didn't you get me on the winner so I could have been third? Oh well. Hopefully everything comes out okay for Dave. If you guys didn't know, I just got back from Las Vegas, spent some time at the South Point. They have a beautiful race book. They don't put sports betting in with the race book guys. You have your own area. They have 200 carols. Everybody has their own plug-in for laptops. It's an absolutely fabulous place to go. Did okay on my win bets. Like I said, I was up about 15% a day. Not killing it. Hopefully with this it'll make it a lot better. But then I got excited and started to do exactas. And like I said earlier, Dave had told me before I went that the system that we were using wasn't hitting that second horse. And with what I've seen today, that second horse and the exactas are really coming in. I wish I'd known this a week ago.
All right. Boy, I'll tell you, when nature calls, it calls. Could have been worse, you know. Okay. We're going to start. This is about pace handicapping. We're going to start by, I'm going to tell you that the 6 horse uh, ran a distant third in this race. Okay. He's done. But we're going to leave him in because I want to show the impact of this. Okay. So I'm going to clear the marks. Imagine we don't use the kneel. We don't have the kneel for this race. Okay. By the way, the 8-to-1 $sign actually does a pretty good job of picking winners on low odds horses. Okay. Providing you throw them out with the kneels. This is a BALO of unbelievable circumstances, right? And remember, what was the 6 horse, wasn't it? This horse actually went off at 3-to-1. Now he ran third and he was in the battle. Okay. But imagine we are taking 1 horse a race in most races, one horse that was at least morning lined relatively low and throwing them out. Imagine how this will change your game. Imagine how it'll change your horizontals. All right. Now, we're going to go long because I got to get to Mr. Ram. But we're going to do pace here. All right. So all right. So what we want is the SR, double click for 1. We want the EP. So we want the green 3 and 4. Now, I want you to understand the shape of the race is early. This will project how the race usually runs, okay? Based on the configuration of the horses. But these are the 3 and the 4, because they separate low odds horses. So I've got those two in, going to meld. I'm going to fire up F step. I'm going to go to percents. I'm going to throw out everybody but the, whoops. I'm going to throw out, oh, I already have them out. Okay, because they were previously marked. So what you would normally have here, and don't get excited about the grades. Oh, look, A plus. When you bet against the morning line, when you bet into the morning line, and you don't need to prefer a 1 over a 2. Remember, this is our losing bet. We tagged him. He's history. So these two are valid. We didn't divide the field here. The field divided itself. Okay, and there were 3 qualified horses, but there's 6. Reverse, remember. Okay? So there were, and you don't use 3. For pace handicapping, go no deeper than 2. This pace handicapping stuff, right? You're down to 3 horses. Oh, gee, what do I do? Well, I guess I toss the 6. Okay? And so we have the 2 and the 5. Now, they don't run 1, 2. The 5 is even money. The 2 and the 5, and we catch 4 to 1. Now, how do you bet the race? What did I tell you? So you're on the 2 and the 5, and you're going to bet $40.60. Hedge the low odds horse. So what? Maybe you're going to win but lose money. The hit rate with pace handicapping in this is amazing. Okay? It's not about exactas. You go elsewhere for that. But if you really want exactas, okay, then what you do, clear the marks, clear the bets, mark the H's. Who ran second? Okay. So when all of the G's qualify, sort by morning line. That's what I keep saying, sort by morning line, and there's your exacta. Okay? So 2, 3 exacta, and so what'd you have? You had 2 horses that were your keys. Brian, how many tickets? Let's see. I have 1 over 2, and I have and
$8.
reverse.
$8.
Well, I've got the one. I've got the 2 horse. Wait a minute. I think
Oh,
it's
2 over 2,
16.
4,
Yeah, I've got 2 over 2. Yeah, $16.
16.
Yeah, $69 exacta. It produces massive prices. And the reason it's the H horses that drive it. Okay? Oh, I didn't have these. These were the guys who would go underneath. And we had the 3. That was the point. We were going to be on the 2 low odds horses. 2 over these 2. Okay. I want to do some more pace handicapping. Do not sell pace handicapping short. If you were a Sarton guy, this is Sarton without the agonizing over Paceline selection. Okay? And I'm going to tell you that a strong strategy that I came up with was, you know how Howard always said, I liked what Howard said. Okay, he may be a favorite of yours, or maybe you didn't like him. But the guy built an organization and he had good people working with him. Okay. And I liked what he said because a lot of it made sense. Now, he said you pick contenders, then you pick Pacelines, then you interpret the model. Okay. I don't do any of that. I don't pick contenders. I do eliminate based on the kneel with the low odds horses. I don't pick Pacelines. I just use the green 3 and 4. Okay. And I fill in the exactas with the kneel mixed with morning line odds. Okay, so let's do it. Clear? So the first step is always to determine, okay, we cannot throw this horse out automatically, but he is probably not the guy. Okay. I have tried using best horse to select contenders. I just don't see it. So there is nobody here that I can actually throw out. Okay. I'm not automatically betting the Bs. I am automatically throwing out the Gs. It's not the same thing. Clear the marks. Okay. Now, so we got the late pace 1.0, stretch run 1.0, meld, go down, reverse. There are my contenders. Let's run the race. So we have, oh, I really should bet the race, shouldn't I? Okay, I'll bet it. Wait a minute, I'll just put that there. Whoops. Oh, I managed to blow that up. Okay, so now it would be nice to get this down to 2 horses. But if I do, it needs to be an L and an H. And the problem is, okay, I can't leave this guy out. He's a 1-1. Okay, I'm not crazy about looking at grades. I just cannot, with a clear conscience, leave the 2 out. The 2 has to be in. Okay, just makes sense to me. So I'll just, tell me, Brian, who would you bet?
The 7.
You'd take the 7. Okay, you got that one wrong. If you were logically, you'd make the change on the morning line. Okay, but we've got highly qualified horses here, very highly qualified. So let's just look at best horse. Do we have anything there? Remember what I said about grade? So you can use the pace handicapping to pick contenders and then the best horse to find value if you need it. Then you bet 40, 60 and you take the lumps. Okay. It would be 40. Oh, here, morning line is what I would almost always prefer. It is more, it has a tendency to work better. I'm not saying it is often closer if you're Dutching to the tote than AI line is, but I find it just works better. It does in this case. Guess why? So we have the 2 and the 5. 2 goes to the front. The 5 is coming at him. There's your exacta. And they're only open by 9 lengths. Remember, these are consecutive races I'm doing here. I am not teeing up the, oh, good, one of my favorites. What is it? Do not use pace on the turf. It's a waste of time. So I'm not going to bother with this. Oh, it's hard for me to resist. I'm just going to real quick. We can do it. Come on. Clear, reverse, file, kneel. Okay. Clear marks, L. Okay. Well, we're either playing, I'm looking at the results here. We're either playing these two. Okay. Now, by the way, you can use best horse and see if anything that's best horse. You can use these two. You would prefer the 10 and the 12 because this is a 3. So toss the 8. Okay. And I'm going to go back and Dutch this. Dutch and clear marks. H. Okay, I'm kind of in a hurry here. So I guess we could do best horse, but first I'd like to do this. We're going to take out the 9, save. Okay, now, so what are we looking to get at here? If we look at best horse, who do we have? We have these two, but we're looking at price horses here. Do we have anything? We only have the 1. Okay. Well, what else do we have? Okay. So we could certainly put this guy in. I don't have a problem with the 7. We also could go, how many races? We have 11 slots and we have 2 horses. So we have 6 opens. We've got 4 more to put in. Okay, 4 more. So we could go, we want to put the, well, here, let's just take the top 4 from morning line. Does that work? Anybody else we should have? Well, maybe we should do it this way. Point is, who knows? Who wins? One horse wins. The one horse. He's the top 3. When all else fails. Oh, and that's very good in low confidence races. All right, back to pace. Okay, I'm going to skip this because it's got first time starters. We need to do pace. We're running long.
First time starter.
Oh, I missed it. There you go. No first time starters. Probably turf, right? Handicap, calc. Okay. And by the way, when you're doing pace, chaos races are not near as important. These races either make sense or they don't. Okay. Clear marks. Fire the L's. We only have a single L. Okay. Now, a nice trick. You take your L, you add the next closest odds horse. Okay. So now we have these 2, and you compare them. And obviously, this guy, you just want to be honest. I'm not throwing this horse out. I'm not treating him like an L. I am simply, I want to test the next guy up against him. Okay, in terms of the kneel. Okay, so I take him out. All right, we like that guy. All right, no reason to throw him out. All right, so now pace. EP 1.0, LP 1.0, meld. And we are not doing 3s with pace. Magnitude 1 and 2. So we're down to 3 horses. Reverse marked. Okay. And so this guy, we know he's going to be solid. And we've got 2 long shots. If we had to slim down, we would probably look at morning line. Okay. here are the horses, and these are both good prices. So you'd look at the tote board. They're not going to be far enough apart. This guy certainly isn't going to be 3-1. Okay. Let's just watch the race. 7, 8, 9. 7 and 8. 7 and 9. And 7 and 9, and notice the prices. Okay. $30 exacta. Guys, can you see why I keep saying everything works?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I'd like to open do we need any more pace, or have we seen enough? I'm gonna unmute people. I gotta make a change somewhere here. I gotta find it. Uh let's see. It is so hard to find. And meeting. And are you guys still seeing the let's see, unmute themselves. Okay. So now you can how do I get out of that? Well, I'm trying. Boy, that isn't it. Okay, I guess I'm back. I guess we're getting full screen. All right. You can unmute, ask me questions, ask Brian questions. How's this going? Anybody?
Yeah, I guess it's correlated to the it's separating the lower morning line horses. But something that Brian had mentioned a while back, I've been having good luck with H horses that have been bet down uh
We're
below.
caching those. We're caching those. Yeah.
I know, I'm saying seems to be another way of getting at them.
It's
Uh,
simpler. I know
oh
Brian's
yeah,
way.
yeah, it's less work. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Mm-hmm.
just noticing the correlation. I wanted to make note of it.
Good.
Yeah, those are the ones, and they really fill out exactas very nicely.
Yes. Yeah, they do. One thing I want to mention, I said I was going to mention something about the Ram. Being a tournament player is a lot like being a horizontal player, in the sense that you have to find some long shots. And to go with that, what you want, first of all, is you want a race where you have no more than one L that survived the cut, because it's easier to beat one L than it is two to get a price. Anyway, onward. Anybody else? Don't be bashful.
Hey, Dave, this is Jeff Pyle.
Yes, sir.
Hey, first of all, I got kudos to you and Brian and the rest of you guys for the work you're doing. I'm still dog paddling, trying to keep my head above water. I'm probably 30 hours into watching videos and another 10 to 15 catching up on old threads. So it's been an amazing journey for me.
Well, thank you.
I'm really trying to apply this to my overall business plan for when I retire in February. But my question, there is a question in here, is I'm a spot player, big exacta player, and I'm really trying to migrate to more volume play. But overall, I hear, I've been following you a long time, but I hear a lot about how ineffectual a lot of this is to turf races, and I tend to gravitate toward turf races. I'm a deep closer player. So I love what you have done, and you and Brian are showcasing tonight, because it really opens my exacta play. I'm thrilled with this, but how can I get more focus on turf racing, or are we going deeper into that as
Best
this?
horse,
Okay, so that
best horse, and Neil. In other words, best horse works in turf. I mean, it flat
okay,
works.
good to know that.
Well,
All right.
and another thing, as I've said a number, Brian, how about maybe you chime in here because you play. I have a tendency to stay away from turf only because it's a complication for me. Okay, and I have so many races to play. But Brian, what about you? What would you say?
From what I've seen, I'm using Best Horse and Neil, and I've had the AML available. You won't win quite as many turf races, but you'll win more money with them. It still picks them. It's a little bit lower percentage, but you'll more than make up for it on your return.
Okay, that makes sense, and that's kind of what I'm going after. I mean, I'm probably the poster child for what Dave said in many of his videos about I like to win because it feels good, but I'm trying to get better at increasing my consistency and my hit percentage. But maybe it's part of my DNA. I'm always looking for price, and I love turf because of that. I can ferret out some pretty big wins because of that. So this is all good stuff. So kudos to you guys for really starting to expand this. And again, I'm still dog paddling in, and
Let me interrupt you for a second, please, Jeff.
go ahead.
I want to go back and address one of the major stumbling blocks that people face is the fact that you have been trained. How long have you been playing the horses?
35 years.
35 years, and you've been playing and you have been trained, most people, with rare exception, that the only winning days you have come when you make these big scores.
For sure.
Okay. So you need to let go of that.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying you don't get to fish in deep water. I'm saying you don't if you want to keep going for big scores, by all means, but don't feel that you have to,
Yeah.
because you have a whole new universe open to you.
Yeah, and that's spot on, Dave. And I recognize that. Trying to change myself as a player and my attitude. I mean, I love everything you espouse as how to be a smart investor in the game. And just trying to get to that point and change that part of my DNA that says I have to go for the big scores. So this is amazing, and I like everything you do. And it just,
Thank
for
you. That's
me, it's
very
just
kind.
organizing my business plan. I've got components. Money management's a big deal. I love what you've done in that area. So this is all good stuff. I just, I want to find a way to kind of bring my old self and my new self together, and I think I'm getting there with this. So
That's good. That's wonderful. Thank you.
thank you.
Hey
Anybody
Jeff,
else?
Yep.
Anytime you want to get together, send me a message, hit me up on a phone call or whatever, and we'll go through races together anytime you want. I'm here. I'm going through races every day, so having somebody to go through them with is a whole lot more fun than doing it yourself.
Yeah, thanks,
So,
Brian. I
so
appreciate that.
anytime.
You were instrumental in getting me kind of into deTERMINATOR, and Dave, your graciousness on the weekends getting me set up was fantastic. So thanks to both you and
All right.
Brian. Careful what you wish for because I'm retiring in February. So game on, buddy.
You got it.
All right. Anybody else? Thank you, Jeff. And all right. Now, a couple more things. If you're a guy who likes playing for big hits, you still need to start with the L's, because big hits are fueled when you have at most one favorite, one low odds horse that sneaks through and becomes a contender. That makes a huge difference. Okay. And then go shopping with the big prices, and do not avoid, for example, if you have a race with 8 first-time starters, okay, there's nobody who's going to be able to pick price horses in that race, if they actually come in, that might actually score like you. Anytime you get that confidence thing, it's funny, people asked for me to put the confidence number up, and I was concerned that people would run away from it. I'm actually reconsidering, because I love those races. Okay, enough. Ram, what do you got? You seem to be up there. Yeah? No, it must have been an accident. All right. If there's nothing else, how did you like this? All right, little applause, right? Brian, I appreciate you so much. I'm ready to call it a day, and I'll get the recording up tomorrow. Okay.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
And I'll have the upgrade up in the next, probably by Saturday. I'm going to say one more thing. Some of you may have seen it. I added this thing. I was having a hard time keeping track of races. I've modified it again, but so imagine I have a race open here, and I'm opening another race, and then I go back to look at the first race, and I can't, and then I get still another race open, and I'm having a hard time remembering where I am at what race. Okay. By the way, this is very helpful. So I go here, this little arrow, S means, to me, S means I've picked up scratches. I know there are no scratches. H means I've handicapped, and I may make that lowercase. B means I've bet. All right. And, oh, it's a W. Oh, W. Why did I put in a W? Bet. Oh, W is supposed to be, they all need to be lowercase. I added this and obviously messed it up. W means I won the race. I've got money coming back, so I need the prices. Okay. L means I've lost. If I'm still waiting for prices, it's certainly non-urgent. And it simply cycles around, but I'm going to make it more lowercase. So this way, I can know, for example, I've handicapped this race. I've done the scratches here, and then of course when I get up here and I say, oh, that's the Woodbine, so I pop it to the top and I finish. Okay, and now the race just disappeared. It helps you managing the day. Yes, Jim?
Yeah, you said we're going to get soon. We'll get the latest version.
Yes,
Will we
yes.
have to do the copy and paste thing, or can we?
No. It'll be a full install. I only do the copy and paste when I'm in a hurry to get it out there, and it's only to the team.
Thank
you guys. Okay. Other than that, I had planned on putting it out, but like I said, I didn't get any reports, either yay or nay, and I forgot to ask Brian, but so it was ultimately on me. All right. So just to be clear, the upgrade will be relatively minor, and I will shoot for the end of January for a bigger upgrade. Okay. But I want to continue with for the rest of the month. I have more systems. Okay. They all work. All of them. Actually, I'm going to do one more race. Here you go. Arapahoe. Let's see what we can get at Arapahoe. All right. I'm going to show you another system. Final step, chaos 0. Oh, this must be a pretty lopsided one. Okay, so I'm going to clear, I'm going to that, I'm going to this, I'm going to kneel, I'm going to clear, I'm going to L. See, this is so much a part of it. I don't have anybody to throw out. I have 2 guys to play, but I can't throw him out. Okay, and if I want to separate with best horse, then I can toss the 4. Oh, whoops, I accidentally tossed 2 of them. So the 4 goes. Arapaho, who plays Arapaho? Okay, so here I am, and now I'm going to clear the marks, do the H's. Okay, so everybody is good in this little tiny race. So I'm going to show you my secret sauce. All right, so in non-maiden races on the dirt, this is my contender selector. And sometimes you get wide open races, right? I mean, it happens. But here you've got all these ones, okay? Let's see, let's clear, let's mark all and reverse. So I've got all these horses. Now this is a splitter. It is something I engineered to separate contenders. So we take out the 3. Now, what am I going to do from here? I don't know. All I can tell you is, well, logically, I'm going to go here and I'm going to take 2 and 6. Okay, 2 and 6. That's it. I can do that. Now, I'm going to tell you a little about this. And remember, I'm going to go 40, 60. And let's see who wins the race. So we have 2 and 6, 2 to 1, and 2 to 1. 5 to 2 and 2 to 1. Okay. So 4 on the lead. Here comes the 6 and the 2, and it's 6. Okay, I'm good with that. Which, here it is. And we got the long end. Couldn't have been better. Okay, now, what I want to talk about, I've told you guys this. What I did was I built a non-maiden dirt splitter. I ran it through an AI program, and I plugged in an object that's just like a report. Okay? I have an AI program that will do that. There's 2 things I can do for you. One is, if you want something of your very own, we can have a session, a coaching session, and figure out how to get it. Whatever it is you're looking for. Those of you who are playing multi-race and looking for big prices, like tournament players, if you're allowed to pick the races, especially, what you want to do is find a race that's difficult for everybody else and concentrate on that race. We can build something specifically for you. It'll take a couple of hours and we'll build 2 or 3, 4 objects, and you can try them out and see how they work. It won't be free, but another thing we can do is someplace after the first of the year, I can get together some kind of a Saturday workshop and we build a bunch of them together. Okay, and it takes about 2 to 3 hours for the AI to work. But you'd have to share them. I'm okay with that. Okay, I just want to tell you, am I using this secret sauce? Absolutely. Especially, I don't use this one so much. I use this one. I just don't need this because the kneel has given me such an edge. Just think about that. You're throwing out almost one horse a race. Okay, guys, listen, I really appreciate you. I want all you guys to have a Merry Christmas, and we're out of here.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Dave.
Dave.
Hey, thanks, Dave. Same to
All
you.
right.
Have a good
And
holidays.
Brian.
Thanks. Yeah, Brian. Thanks for the work you guys do.
Take
Amazing.
care.
See you
Yeah,
See you
thanks.
Saturday.